listening to the IELTS podcast. Learn from tutors and ex-examiners who are masters of IELTS preparation. Your host, Ben Worthington.
Band 8 IELTS Advice. Hi there, my name is Ben Worthington. I'm from England. I'm from up north, as they say. I don't sound like it anymore because I spent a long time outside of the UK and not that many people understand a broad Yorkshire accent. Why did I leave the UK? Well, I did the Erasmus program and I studied in Spain for a year. And then after that, I wanted to get fluent in Spanish. So I decided to settle down there. I was there for quite a while. And that's when I decided to teach English. And within 12 months, I was like, I am going to specialize in the IELTS exam. This is the real deal, you know? This is where I can find motivated students. This is where I can find whether what I'm teaching is getting the results for my students. And this is where, it sounds corny, it sounds cheesy, but this is where dreams can come true, you know? If I can get some Spanish student into a UK university, I've changed the course of their life, you know? If we can get you into Canada, we've changed the course of your life for the next few generations. And there's very few places in the ESL world, in the English as a second language world, where such small doors, such small hinges can swing such big doors. What do I mean? I mean, there's very few other places in the English language world where what you teach can have such a profound, dramatic and strong effect for the future of your students. So this is why I got into IELTS, you know, and one of the first things that I was struggling with, I was doing essays, I was doing essay corrections, and I quickly specialized with essay correction. You know, I was offering students the service face-to-face and then online, and I realized that each student needs a system to follow. Each student needs to do exactly the same thing, the same steps. You know, when you're boxing or when you're playing football, those who succeed usually have a system, a plan, and they follow that system and they get the same results. If you just go in there willy-nilly, if you just go in there, you know, chancing it or freestyling, chances are you're going to get murdered. And this is what happens a lot with the students. They're like, oh, I'm good at English. I need to take the IELTS exam to stay in Australia. No worries. I'll turn up on Thursday and I'll do it. And slap around the face. They get a slap around the face when they get the results back and they get a 6.5. And like, that's strange. My English is amazing. But the thing is, we need more than English skills. We need exam skills. To get that band 7, 8 or 9, you need to be writing in academic English. You need to be reading at an insane speed. You need to be listening with full concentration. You know, there's so many more skills involved with the IELTS. And today I'm going to tell you some tips for getting a band 8. These came from a few different students who we've been interviewing over the last couple of weeks. And we'll start off with the listening, okay? So with the listening, okay, it's very easy to underrate it. And small mistakes can cost you some points. So what I usually tell my students, if they've got a listening problem, is 1, separate it between the language skills and the exam skills. So if you're working on the language skills, then transcribing is a very useful tool. You get a podcast, you transcribe everything that you hear, you check your transcription with the official transcription, and you can see where your weak areas might be. Regarding exam skills, and of course immersion, you want to be listening 24 hours a day and just get fully immersed and choose a topic that you like, you know. Yes, you can listen to exams, IELTS exams, download a load, listen to them. You can do that, but your interest is probably going to wane, your attention probably going to wander, and you won't get the full benefit. Whereas if you download something that you love, you're going to get full benefit. Now, exam skills for the listening. You want to be doing practice test after practice test. You want to isolate the areas where you're losing points and focus on those in your next practice test. You need to force yourself to use the time between each section to read the questions properly. Okay? It's like one tutor once told me, the speaking exam is a listening exam, and the writing exam is a reading exam. And what he meant was that when you're doing your speaking exam, you have to listen so intently, okay? And you have to include more skills other than just your speaking. In this case, the listening. And it's similar with the listening exam. You have to use that time between each section to properly read the questions. Yeah, you can even start developing your own skills, such as sort of like estimating and guessing. Okay, so they're asking me what time, so I've got to keep an ear out for prepositions of time and whatnot. Yes, that it is helpful, but really the gist of it, the crux of it, comes down to properly understanding each question. Okay, and then, as our previous listeners have mentioned numerous times, do as many practice tests as you possibly can. And as I said before, you want to isolate the sections where you're losing points, focus on those sections. I remember one student, he did so many listening tests and reading tests, he wrote out all the collocations that he could extract. And one of the students, actually, I remember now, they said they were reverse engineering the questions. So they would look at the answers first and then go through the actual test. And he found the formula, he found the structure the examiners were using to set up the listening questions. Okay? Very briefly, this structure can be sort of like misguidance. So they might contradict themselves. They might be talking like, okay, we will arrange to meet at the bar for 8 o'clock. Is 8 o'clock okay for you? Yes, it is. Perfect. And then the third speaker or second speaker might say, actually, no, I need to do it an hour before. Is that okay with everyone? Yeah, an hour before is fine. So the amateurs would have put 8 o'clock, whereas those who really know question structure and really develop the listening skills would have put 7 o'clock. So that's just an example. Moving on. Let's move on to the reading. Again, obviously, you want to read properly every single question and the text, and also pick up on the hints. Okay? So the hints might be, some of the dates or some emphasis, or again, the misdirection. They might be talking and explicitly say it's this, and then they might contradict themselves later. So you want to be aware of these tricks. I think a good way to prepare for this is also to reverse engineer, is also to do as many practice tests as you can, but you don't have to focus on practice tests, IELTS practice tests. You can do reading exercises because they are broadly similar, and you're just improving your comprehension and your speed reading skills. By the way, if you are a slow reader, you want to Google Tim Ferriss speed reading, and there's a whole article there. I sent it to one student. She absolutely loved it, and she managed to increase her reading speed dramatically. So just put Tim Ferriss reading speed or speed reader. It's got a very detailed, succinct tutorial about that, about how to increase your reading speed. So another skill you want to develop to succeed in the reading test is to summarize your texts. Okay, get into the habit of reading and summarizing. These short summaries will just make it easier for you to handle sort of like more complex, longer texts the more you do it. Okay, I'm honestly surprised you don't have to summarize more in the reading test, because it really does show like full comprehension. Again, just two final points. When you're reading, try to read as much as possible. Read something that you love and you're going to stick to it. You could get stuck into Game of Thrones, Last of Us, whichever. I don't think there is a book for Last of Us, but anyway. Read some books that are sticky, that just keep on, turn pages, that get you really pulled in. Also, if your exam's nearer, obviously you want to start reading more academic text, which is probably going to have more useful academic vocabulary for your exam. Now, with the writing, there is a ton of advice out there for the writing. And if you go to YouTube, you're probably going to end up overwhelmed, depressed, lost, and confused. I get students writing me emails day in, day out, like, this tutor said this, but you said that. And it is incredibly confusing, and each tutor has their own way. Myself, being around for 10 years, being an old IELTS tutor, now I know what works and what doesn't work. And I put all that does work into the online course. The biggest advice, or the best advice that I can get, are the students that do succeed are the ones who don't waste time on YouTube watching tutorial after tutorial. The ones who do succeed are writing essay after essay after essay. This is exactly what I did when I started out teaching IELTS to my students. I was just writing essay after essay. And this is how I stumbled across the basic framework, which we give away for free to paid subscribers of the essay checking tool. We're giving it away for free at the moment. And this is what later got developed into the Band 9 framework, or the C2 framework. What's the C2 template or framework? Well, C2, according to Cambridge, who also develop the IELTS exam, along with British Council and whatnot, and IDP. Cambridge also has this scoring system developed with the European Union, whereby C2 equates to Band 9, C1 is roughly Band 8, B2 is roughly Band 7, very roughly. Okay, there is some overlap among the band scores, but very roughly. Anyway, Cambridge also have a dictionary, and they were kind enough to label each word according to the CEFR, Common European Framework for Languages, or framework reference. Anyway, so there are adjectives, nouns, collocations, which have Band 9 level. I found the useful ones and dropped them into the Band 9 framework, and we also cover that once you become a paid subscriber for the essay checking tool. So anyway, as I was saying, essay after essay, and nowadays you can get feedback instantly using tools like our essay checker, which you'll find when you go to IELTSPodcast.com, or just put in IELTS Podcast free essay check and you'll see our tool there. You paste your question, you paste your essay, and you get feedback. And for the time being, you're going to get band scores. Later, we're going to restrict the amount of band scores you can get, so you might just get it for grammatical range and accuracy and cohesion and coherence, and paid subscribers will get all four criteria. However, for the time being, now you're going to get all four, so use it while it's free. And if you want more detailed feedback and the course with the basic essay structure and the vocabulary and getting ideas, then you can upgrade. And I think the cheapest price is $6 a month, which is ridiculously low at the moment. So as you can see, for the writing, you want to be doing as many essays as you can. Get some model essays. copy them word for word, pen and paper, just type them out, whatever, and you'll probably stumble across a structure as well. You know, by your 100th essay, you'll have probably discovered the structure and you're away. Or you can just join the paid subscribers for the essay check, get your more detailed feedback and get a basic format and some C2 help as well, Band 9 help. So with the writing, it basically comes down to putting in the time. If you can, use a framework, use a structure that will speed up your progress, also get the feedback as well. And as we talked about in a previous podcast, get that topic-specific vocabulary and just, get feedback so you're confident when you do upgrade, you're upgrading it accurately and effectively and boosting your score and not actually damaging your score, which has happened before. I have seen essays where I sent it back and said, your vocabulary is terrible, upgrade it please. It came back and it was even worse because they just went to the thesaurus and almost got drunk on the thesaurus. Not got drunk, but just went a bit OTT, over the top. Finally, speaking. Now with speaking, it is slightly more tricky. If you're going for a Band 8, you really do need to be accurate. And you cannot be answering the wrong question. Just today I had a private student and on two occasions, she answered the wrong question. Okay? So you really, as I said right at the beginning, the speaking exam is a listening exam. This is why it just pays so much to work on your receptive skills such as reading and listening, especially listening, because you're going to hear perfect vocabulary every time you work on it, and eventually, especially if you're learning new terms and new words, you're going to learn them correctly the first time when you hear them correctly. So with the speaking, in our speaking confidence course, we give you a full range of techniques that help you respond quickly and accurately, and frameworks to help you develop and fully, organize your answer. And then once you've got that framework, once you've got that structure in place and you've got the techniques, you've got the system, it takes a lot of stress off your brain. It frees up some mental energy, and that's often translated into a sense of confidence. And we all know confidence is one of those mystical tools that appears with your friends and disappears when you're in front of the examiner. Well, anyway, once you've got tools and frameworks and a system to use for each question you get, you'll find your confidence returns and your fluency also improves. So now with your speaking, some stuff that you can do at home if you don't have access to the Speaking Confidence course. You can mimic. You can listen to recordings and you can mimic them. Obviously, you can jump online. You can do speaking classes. And there are some tools out there now where you can speak to the AI bot. We'll be bringing ours out soon also. Just remember, really, accuracy here is the key, I remember in Spain, I had so many students who were so fluent, but their accuracy was all over the place and I couldn't understand what they were saying. And then on the other end of the spectrum, usually my Asian students, they spoke so slow because they were terrified of making a mistake. They were so focused on accuracy that it was almost incomprehensible what they were saying because of the rate and the amount of times they went back and self-corrected themselves. What I'm saying is that the extremes are wrong. What you need to do is find the right balance whereby you're relatively fluent, but you're also relatively accurate. And of course, this has to be higher when we're talking about Band 8. That's it from me today. Remember, if you are preparing for the IELTS, it can be tough. We can suffer from that overwhelm. As I said in the last podcast, break it down into small pieces. Get organized, organize your time, organize your schedule, make sure that every hour counts, and just don't forget about that final prize. Don't forget that you're doing this to get yourself to Canada, to improve your prospects, to settle in the UK, to start earning pounds, Canadian dollars, or Australian dollars, to get that education that you deserve, that your family deserves. You're going to change the course of your family, of your history, your personal history, And just don't forget that. That's why we are here. That's why we set up IELTSPodcast.com. That's why we've launched this free essay checking tool. We want to help you get there. We want to help you get your goals. So have a look at that. It's available at IELTSPodcast.com. Love to see your essays. Love to see you improve. And just remember, keep moving forward. You can do this. We all believe in you. Have a great day. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to IELTSPodcast.com.